an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm super excited to talk to each and every one of you. I know that your time at these trainings is extremely valuable. I know that you have a lot of different choices, and I'm honored that you chose to spend 15 minutes with me, right? So I'll give you a little bit of a once-over of my background in real estate, or kind of where we're at that he didn't mention. I started my career in the IT industry. So I was a young man. I was selling computers. I was selling websites. I was in it to win it, right? And in a commission-based job, as you guys very well know, there is not many retirement vehicles. Or at least as a kid, I didn't know any of those retirement vehicles. I didn't know what a solo 401k was, or a self-directed IRA. So I turned my attention to real estate. People that I knew that were extremely successful had invested in real estate, and they've done very, very well. So when I was 19, I bought my first rental property. And that was my retirement, and I built from there, and it's been a hell of a ride, and sitting here on stage in front of you guys. But the biggest transition in my life was realizing that not only could I make money investing in real estate, but I could also make money selling real estate. So that's what led me here. And when I got into the business, I realized rapidly that retail sales is great. Each and every one of you guys, I'm sure, show of hands, how many of you guys are actually investors? Raise your hand. Good. I love seeing that. That's the biggest thing as far as being an investor that I see missed opportunity with, is agents who just don't invest themselves. It's actually heartbreaking to me. It's when I'm sitting there talking to people, I'm like, yeah, you need Jesus, but you also need some rental properties. Because this market is up and down, it's cyclical, and sometimes life gets hard, right? So you need that steady income, and it needs to be coming in a random, not just randomly with the market. So, any of you guys that were at Mega Camp a couple years ago, Gary brought me up on stage and had my heart racing, and we went over this process that I have down pat with investing in real estate and how to build this investor network. And there's two really important components. As he said, there's acquisitions. And all that really means is that finding properties that nobody else knows of. Finding inventory, okay? And then you got dispositions. And all dispositions really are you finding somebody to buy that inventory that you found, okay? So how do we get these properties? How do we find them? And we'll go through all that. When you're working with investors, they're not necessarily loyal, but there's one thing you can do to keep them with you, to keep them loyal. And that is quite simply control your inventory, right? If you can control the inventory, they will never leave. If you can control the inventory, they will love you forever. If you can control the inventory, you're going to look back on them when they're taking out you and your family to a steak dinner, and you're laughing about how much money you made with them and how much money you made them, how you changed their lives. And it's a very gratifying feeling to be able to do that. So how do we control the inventory? Number one, show of hands. How many of you guys know what an asset manager is? Raise your hands. Okay, that's a lot. For you guys that don't know, an asset manager is somebody who manages assets. It's that simple. Typically, they work for a bank, a REIT, a real estate investment trust, or they are government owned or government funded, HUD, Fannie Mae, the whole 9 yards. When the crash happened, for those of you in the business then, it was devastating. And I went in full time in 2004. So I had my rental properties, and I had lots of debt too. And all of a sudden, they were half the value, and I needed to find a way to continue to make money. And so I tripped over an asset manager, and I went out of my way to do everything I could to make this gentleman my best friend. I would sell every house that they had listed I would make sure that an offer was put in on that house. And I would start gaining his attention because he kept seeing my name over and over and over again on every damn PA he had. And so that guy eventually realized that, okay, Erick's pretty good at selling houses. And each one of you guys are pretty good at selling houses. And you could do this. You can target one person. But I went above and beyond. Besides just selling his houses, I started offering to do things for him, right? What do you need done? Is there any properties that you don't have a listing agent for? Good example, like we have sold houses. You guys ever heard of the UP? No? Well, it's a tip of Michigan. Nobody lives there. It's a bunch of trees, and it's like 12 hours from Detroit. Is that right? Yeah. But I offered to list a house there for him. And that was my first opportunity. So show you're competent, reach out and make a friend, and then offer to do things that other people won't do. A really good way, you're thinking in your head, like, okay, great, Erick, I'm glad you found this guy. But how do you find these asset managers on a regular basis? And I had the most success after that experience with LinkedIn, believe it or not. Sounds kind of silly, right? But type in asset managers in LinkedIn, pick whatever one you fancy or is close to you or you know has assets in your area, and start nagging them. So LinkedIn I had a lot of success with. My end goal was not just to list their properties. My end goal was to help my investors, to find product for them so they could be rewarded. So, asset managers. Another amazing source for off-market inventory. We will reach out to them on a regular basis and we'll say, hey man, you guys got anything new? Any properties that you've locked up under contract? These guys call us first. When you're friendly to them and you don't treat them like trash, like everybody else does, all of a sudden they say, you know, that Dan guy's not a bad guy. He seems pretty nice. I'm gonna give him first shot at one of my properties. And maybe he doesn't make quite as much, but he knows Dan's an honorable guy. Dan will give him cash. Dan will close quick. And so what we do is we insert ourselves in the middle of that transaction, guys. So when somebody's wholesaling and they give it to me, and I know one of my investors over here is gonna buy it, I'll just be upfront with them. I'll say, hey, I see you're making $10,000 here. It's a nice little chunk of change. I wanna make $3,000 here. Are we good? And if they say, man, no, I need my 10,000, then what do? We just offer them a little bit more. Or I tell my investor that instead of 100,000, it's 103. They get what they want, I get a little piece of the pie, and everybody still has what? Their inventory. Number 3, as far as finding off-market inventory. I asked you guys how many of you guys are investors. How many of you guys are buyer's agents for investors right now? Man, you guys all know everything. I don't know why you're here. So you sell, you work your whole career, and you're continually selling properties to these investors. And I told you, some of them are loyal when you make them a lot of money, but you have to control that inventory. When they get to that steak dinner 20 years later, like I said, you need to remind them that you were the one that found every single one of those houses for them. You need to ask them, would you allow me to sell these properties? Would you allow me to market these properties for you to my other investors? Not everybody is as ambitious as their father or their mother. These guys all have kids and girls have kids that have probably had a pretty damn good life because they had a significant amount of investment properties. And when I talk to my investors, a lot of them will look at me and say, yeah, I gave my kid too much. And they get to a point where they say, you know what? My kid's not gonna be able to handle my 30-unit portfolio. So they'll sell them. They'll say, hey, Erick, yeah, let's go. And we will take all of that inventory and we will package it into what we call a portfolio, and we will offer that to bigger investors. So when you get that type of inventory, guys, after you worked a substantial amount of time and you have the opportunity to sell a portfolio, that's a whole new game. That's an opportunity to level up and play with the big boys. Then you're reaching out to hedge funds. Then you're reaching out to REITs. Then you're getting involved at a much, much higher level with much, much more on the line, really. And you'll realize if anybody's right here where they built a lot of portfolios for people, and you're thinking in your head, I'm going to get home and I'm going to ask them to do this, when you do, it will be extremely humbling. And I don't mean humbling like, oh, no, you can't sell the houses. If you get it, it's humbling because you realize you don't know a lot. The first time that happened to me, I went to a real estate conference, and it's called IMN. I don't know if any of you guys ever heard of it. Hands? IMN? I know, it's so crazy. So IMN is a big boy real estate conference. And you go there, and I'm pitching my inventory, and everybody pretty much laughed at me. They're like, man, your numbers don't make sense. You're not using the right language. It's cute, kid. Yeah, I'll have a drink with you, but that's about it, right? So when you have that opportunity, make sure you reach out to me. Reach out to somebody that you know is doing real estate, investment level real estate at a high level, and have a conversation with them first, because these guys can smell a novice a mile away. All right? So we talked about tired investors, okay? And then agents. I just asked you guys to reach out to me, didn't I? Did I ask you that just so I could help you? Maybe I want to sell your portfolios too. Maybe I just motivated everybody in this room to reach out to that one investor, and they don't know what they're doing. And I have people that buy all over the country. Just because somebody invests in Detroit, Michigan, doesn't mean they don't invest in Las Vegas. We've helped with a lot of those portfolios. So other investors are your other source for reaching out and getting that inventory. Let every agent you know understand that you specialize in investment-based real estate. And they'll start coming to you and asking you questions. They'll start giving you properties. I can't tell you how many times an agent will get in over their head. Oh, it's an estate sale, Eric. I just want to close it quick. One more. We'll give you one more because I don't know how much time. Oh, no. Oh, wrapping up. I'm done. Guys, I apologize. The assets you know how to find now. That's the most important thing. And we are doing Wednesday at 2:45 how to build a real estate investment empire. And that will be here. So come visit me, okay?